I got an interesting one for you today. I was reading an article this morning regarding Trevor Bauer's status in the major leagues, and I found out that Representative Eric Burleson from Missouri wrote a letter to the Major League Commissioner Rob Manfred, suggesting that Trevor Bauer has been blacklisted from the major leagues due to his support of Donald Trump and his past criticism of the league. Now, granted, Bauer was suspended for 324 games in 2021 for violating the Major League's joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy, which was later reduced to 194 games. But despite Bauer's legal issues mostly being resolved, including one accuser facing prison time for fraud, Major League teams have not signed him since his release by the Dodgers before the 2023 season. Now, in case you haven't seen it, I'm going to read through the letter here in a minute, just so you can kind of see what Mr. Burleson had to say. But in essence, Burleson claims that Bauer's political stances and criticism of Major League Baseball leadership and policies may be the real reasons behind his continued exclusion from the league. And Bauer, who has been playing in Japan and Mexico since his Major League Baseball suspension, maintains his innocence and says he wants to move forward and improve himself. Now, in case you haven't heard it, I'm going to read through the letter from Mr. Burleson. And he wrote, Mr. Bauer was suspended for 324 games, the longest non-lifetime suspension in the history of the league, despite the fact that the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office declined to pursue criminal charges against him, citing insufficient evidence. Given that no legal action was taken against Mr. Bauer, I'm concerned his absence may be tied to certain political statements he made that diverged from prevailing league orthodoxy, as well as statements he made that were critical of Major League Baseball and particularly you referencing Manfred. Specifically in 2016, Mr. Bauer publicly expressed positive views about then-candidate Donald J. Trump, including comments on social media praising Trump's campaign rhetoric and outsider status. Additionally, Mr. Bauer, in responding to a social media post, noted his belief that disrespecting fellow human beings should not be tolerated, which was taken as an opposition to Major League Baseball's diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. And lastly, Mr. Bauer made a number of remarks prior to his suspension critical of Major League Baseball and specifically you meaning Manfred again, ranging from expanded playoffs to marketing of MLB players to then refusal of Major League Baseball to investigate pitchers using sticky substances. Given the timing and severity of Mr. Bauer's suspension, it's reasonable to question whether Major League Baseball's actions were influenced more by his political stances and criticisms of Manfred and Major League Baseball than by the allegations against him, which have since been undermined by judicial review and evidentiary shortcomings. And that was pretty much the whole letter from Representative Eric Burleson. And if any of that is true, that's a wild situation. Bauer's definitely had a lot of drama surrounding him, and this latest bit with a congressman jumping in just adds fuel to the fire. It is interesting that the legal issues for Bauer have mostly cleared up and Major League Baseball still doesn't seem interested in bringing him back. You have to wonder if the politics stuff is really playing a part or if Major League Baseball just sees him as too much of a PR nightmare to be worth the hassle. The guy can obviously pitch, but his reputation and public comments probably aren't doing him any favors. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bauer back in the league eventually, but I think it's going to take a team that doesn't give a shit about public backlash or anything like that and just wants the talent. What do you all think? You think a team should take a chance on him, or is he just too much trouble? I mean, the White Sox have Mike Clevenger in the bullpen now, so I mean, there's people with domestic violence histories all over the major league that are still playing, so somebody should sign him, right? Especially considering that Bauer doesn't actually have any charges, any convictions. All of his charges have been dismissed. And one of his accusers is actually facing 16 years in prison for fraud. I mean, come on. I'm not saying he's completely innocent in any of this by any means, but there's people in the major leagues that have done the same things that Bauer's being accused of, and they're still playing. Anyway, let me know what you think. Let's keep the conversation going. I got a lot more stuff coming on Travel Ball. I got a good one coming up about how American development of baseball players is lacking in comparison to how Japan and its system is developing their baseball players. So there's going to be a comparison video coming up on that. Stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.